Hello, thank you for joining us today for July's REO Default webinar series. We have a very special presentation for the members today. We do have a lot of people logging in right now, so we're going to go ahead and give it a couple of minutes to let everyone log in. I'm so excited for today's presenters.
I'm excited to be around three powerful women in this industry. So I am.
We just cut your talking 10 minutes.
All right, we have people logging in. Go ahead and send us a chat and tell us where you're logging in from. I'm here in hot and sunny Arizona, 118 degrees here.
Oh,
Here we have Alabama. Hi, Rick. San Diego.
Mr. Sharga. I'm in O'Fallon, Illinois, outside of St. Louis.
North Hollywood, California, where it's 105 today.
I'm in Northern California, about an hour from the San Francisco Bay Area. And it's, I don't know what it is. I haven't even been outside yet.
You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Rhode Island, California.
New Jersey. We got them from almost every state already.
Great.
Really cool.
I recognize a lot of these names.
Yeah.
This is great. Sacramento.
Texas, Atlanta.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. Hello, my name is Diana Bonencontro, and I'm the broker owner of Elite Real Estate here in hot Arizona. Elite is a minority woman-owned company that services the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. And I have 20 years of experience in REO, short sales, residential, land, and corporate relocation. I have three amazing speakers to introduce to you today. I'll do ladies first. We have Laura Dietz of Summit Realty Group. Laura is the broker owner, auctioneer of Summit Realty and Summit Realty Group Incorporated, a woman-owned business with over 26 years of experience in REO, defaults, residential, commercial, equestrian, and land. Laura has years of experience in probate, trust, bankruptcy, and auction sales. Summit Realty's team is disaster trained and is available 24/7 with 4 offices located in Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties. And next we have Wendy Keefe of REO Network in Clear Capital. Wendy joined REO Network in 2002 and has been instrumental to growing REO Network's membership. Wendy is responsible for establishing new partnerships, strategies, planning, and sales. She has helped thousands of brokers, agents, and vendors across the nation successfully present themselves to the REO industry in a professional manner. And last but not least, Bubba Mills of Corcoran Consulting. Bubba is the owner and CEO of Corcoran Consulting and Coaching, an international small business, mortgage, and real estate coaching company whose clients are recognized as some of the most successful and influential professionals in their respective fields. Bubba is also the CEO founder of REOcertification.com, which is one of the top REO certification classes that teach real estate agents the how, what, and most importantly, the why of foreclosure liquidation. Just a couple of housekeeping things. We will open up at the end for discussion and questions. Please feel free to submit any of your questions into the chat box and we'll go ahead and address it. And I will turn it over to Bubba.
Well, hello, everybody. Let me get my screen up here real quick and let's start going away. So I will warn everybody, I have 42 slides and I have been challenged to get through this in 9 minutes and 38 seconds. So everybody on this screen that you're seeing, all these beautiful faces, even Mr. Sharga does not think I can do it. So I'm going to start my clock now and we are going to do this. All right. So here's the big picture. You are selling assets for a company, not a home for a consumer. Do not take this job personally. These are business decisions, not emotional decisions. That's the biggest thing we talk about in REO. You're not selling Aunt Margaret. You're not sitting across, the table from this beautiful couple and kids that are moving. You're dealing with a hedge fund, a REIT, a bank, an investor, usually in a different state than you're located, that needs to sell an asset. No emotions allowed. Most properties are sold as is, where is, looks as is, and smells as is. Okay. Now, this go around, we are seeing a little bit more of the rehab part of it, because we are benefiting from the appreciation in several states. So the good part about REO, and this is the blessing between REO, is you wake up in the morning and there's a listing in your inbox. You don't have to pay pay-per-click or pay-per-impression. You don't have to have all these websites driven. You don't have to do all that. You basically wake up. You make a little less commission, but the blessing behind it is you get to generate buyers, because most of you in REO don't like doing business with buyers. You are listing agents. So this allows us to bring in more business and allows us to be able to create a team of buyer agents that will do a lot of your tasks for you. Now I'm going to show you a sneak peek of what happens to the back end of it. When I teach the certification class, I'll give you guys a discount at the end. I show a lot of insider kind of trading information. So this is a scorecard from Bank of America that goes out to an asset management company. So as an asset management company, we have our scorecards, just like you as an agent that we assign assets to, you have your scorecards. So we get graded every single thing, everything that you do, every act that you do, every action that you do and don't do, we get graded on as much as you do. And what happens is it's literally, the strongest survive in this part of the business. And I'll explain to you why. It's because a lot of the large companies, again, you can see I'm still going through the scorecard part of it, so it's on the recording. Most of the large companies have multiple asset management companies. So what happens is, say there's 3 of them. The one with the highest scorecard is going to get the largest percentage next month of business, and then the second and the third. Some cases there's 3 or 4. And the one with the lowest scorecard 3 times in a row, you get kicked out, we bring in another asset management company. Okay. So it's just like you, right? If I'm doing business with you and I've got 4 agents in Chicago and you're the one with the lowest score, there's a good chance I'm going to replace you. Okay. So this is an example of what we have to deal with as an asset manager, right? These are 4 different investors with 4 different guidelines on preservation, on HOAs, utilities, relocation assistance. And literally, this is what an MSA, a master servicing agreement, looks like from the asset management side. We will sit down for hours and hours and hours and go through 50, 60 pages of different things, like how much is allowable for preservation, for cash-free keys, for work orders, for a mold remediation, tree, any of that kind of fun stuff. This is what we do. It also goes through what our signing authority is, or what your delegated signing authority is. So a lot of people think, well, the asset manager gave me the wrong price. No, 90% of the time, it's not the asset manager that sets the list price. It's the investor. The asset manager gathers the information from the agents and from appraisals or BPOs or drive-bys. We put it all together. We write a marketing plan, and then we submit it to the investor to be able to make the final decision. So as you can see, just at the bottom of this page, number 4, under HOA utilities, there is no delegation. If there is a bill for 38 cents, it has to be approved by the investor. No one has the power to do so, right? So here's another example: the initial listing, list price reductions, offer acceptance. Look in the highlighted area so you can see what the difference is that we run through these. Now, Wendy, you'll be very happy because 3 of these clients that we will be onboarding in the next 6 months all use their capital for their BPOs. So just letting you know, you'll be getting some business over there. So we talk about task management, right? This is a standard. If you board a property today into ResNet, Equator, Pyramid, Accelerus, any of those programs, this is kind of we'll call it just a dumbified standard tasks that go into a system, and then based on the master servicing agreement or the service of work order, we have to build subcategories to it, like you saw on the prior slides on what the authority is, what triggers what, who triggers what, so on and so forth. The red ones are the ones that the agent is mostly stored on. The black ones are standard ones that are done exclusively by the asset management company, the title company, or the closing. All right. So there's a lot of work to be done. We like to run an average of 87 tasks per property. So I'm telling you all of this because sometimes if you know upfront what you're getting into, REO is not good for you. I love REO. Literally, I freaking love it. All these people on the screen, we love this industry. It's an asset that has to be sold. Okay. So I was telling you, what's the first thing you do when you get assigned an asset? And I'm going to get a little frustrated right now. And I'm going to almost cuss, but I'm not going to cuss because Rick Sharkey is on this line. And I got 3 beautiful women, and I'm not going to do that too. But read your damn instructions. That's the first thing you do. Read the instructions. Asset managers hate it when you get back to them and say, hey, what am I supposed to be doing? Read your instructions. That literally is a #1 pet peeve of every asset management company in the world, not just the local ones. Get excited afterwards. Read your instructions and see what you have to do. Now, we're going to deal with a lot of things in REO that you're not used to in traditional real estate. And you're going to find a lot of things in houses. It's pretty interesting when we do an eviction or somebody leaves. I still don't know why they take the toilet with them when they leave. I still can't figure that out. But they're like, I'm taking my throne with me. And then they take the toilet when they leave, right? It's fun. It literally is fun. Now, I'm going to give you a trick on REO. And utility is making a phone call to the utility will literally touch 7 tasks that an agent has to do on a property. It helps with knowing if the property is occupied. You think if the power's off and it's in Phoenix, Arizona, somebody's living in the house? Yeah, probably not. Just putting it out there, not giving you 100%, but probably not. But it also lets us know if there's any outstanding utility bills. Who's on it right now? In your instructions, you'll know if we're using a national preservation company. 2008, 90% of utilities were turned on by you. 2023, 90% of the utilities are turned on by preservation companies. All right. So it's interesting when you get to close and you say, well, God, Bubba, we had a delay because there was a tax lien on there. I hate to tell you this, but the government is lack of employed just like everybody else is out there. Lack of people. And I'm going to say there's close to probably 15% of all REO closings are delayed because of some type of utility lien, HOA lien, code violation lien, any of that's found. Because when we get the assignment, we run a LexisNexis or a date down. And then what happens is later on, we're running 4 or 5 months down the road and we're going to close. And the bad part about it is a lien just popped up. So don't get mad when it gets delayed. You had a chance to do it. Health and safety. This is REO. Okay. When we talk about repairs usually gives a value. Health and safety usually does not give a value. So I'll give you an example. Is broken or missing stairs, exposed wires, structural integrity, hole in the floor, mold. Never say black mold. The minute you say that, it has to get tested. So just say discoloration on the walls. Asbestos. Chinese drywall, if you're on the East Coast, that's a big thing, right? So take pride in what you do because you're replaceable in 5 minutes. When I was working with Financial Asset Services, we had 17,000 agents across the United States. So when I say take pride, I mean, do things that other people don't do. Replace the light bulbs, air fresheners, use awesome spray, stage properties, virtual staging. Everything you do and don't do is considered your brand. Okay. So I want you to think about pet peeves, agents that call for updates on closing. That's your job, not the asset management company's job. Agents who complete a BPO at the beginning of the month and then submit a different price. You're in June, you submit photos with snow on the yard. Darn it, I'm at 10 minutes right now, Rick. I owe you. You just tell me what you want. Here's a buy box for hedge funds. 90%, I mean, excuse me, not 90%, 60% of REOs will not be coming out from Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They're going to be coming out from like the RCN Capitals and Blackstones and that kind of stuff on deals. So don't just look for REO, look for corporate owned and REO. Find out what the cap rates that they're looking for. You know, you need to start working with private investors in your local area. So I'm not going to go through what a hedge fund is because it gets a little daunting. Take a photo of this. This is how hedge funds make money. These are the top 6 things that every hedge fund makes money on, and you are a prime piece of that. Working with auctions, I pray to God that you work with auctions. I love auctions, and this is a good part to be able to find properties that you can find for hedge funds, local investors, REITs, so on and so forth. 203K loans, 203H loans. If you don't know them, find somebody. You're in California, the house burned down, it's a FEMA zip code. You know, the renter can even buy a house at 100% financing through a 203H program. If you do not know this, contact your lenders. Carrington has a great one. The Caliber, there's a lot of great companies out there. When we teach the certification class, we get a lot more in depth in this. Again, I'm kind of a limited time on this thing. So these are kind of the solid foundation that we use for red flag or green flag on BPOs. I want to show this. You can take a photo of it or get a copy of this and you'll have it for future use. Open house techniques. Remember, there's a whole world of technology out there. This is a virtual staging photo that you can use. Check on your MLS regulations. And see if you can do it. Most of the time with a watermark saying it's virtually staged, you can get away with it. This is the same kitchen, $35 in less than 24 hours. A lot of people can't understand what an REO property looks like REO. Okay, so building a team, going to networks and conferences. I know that Wendy's going to touch on this a lot more, but I'm just going to do a pop quiz real quick. Where do you put the list of zip codes that you serve on your business card? Is it on the front? Is it on the back? On the top? On the bottom? You know, where does it go? The answer is nowhere. Nowhere. There's no asset manager that's going to read this staying at 5-star at AREAA in Chicago coming up in October. They're not going to sit there and think, I wonder if Wendy's in 920. It's not going to happen, guys. Don't put it on there. Where do you put the list of platforms that you register on? Who cares? Your business card is not your resume, people. Sign up for ResNet, Equator, Pyramid, Orange Grid, Accelerus. Accelerus is up and coming. There's a lot of large companies that are going on to Accelerus, so make sure you're on there. All right. So here's a discount. This is my website, reocertification.com. You save $100 if you use the code AREAA, A-R-E-A-A, lowercase, all lowercase, 100. You'll save $100. Right now, our next virtual one, I think is like it's next month, and I do it for 12 hours of education. It goes from 10 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you don't have to worry about flight, changing airfares. You can eat your lunch at home. You don't have to travel, and you can have your kid on your lap and you do it. All right. God bless you guys. I'm done, and I will turn it over. And I owe somebody 3 minutes. Damn it, Rick, you got me. I'm sorry, buddy.
Thanks, Bubba. And now we'll turn to Wendy.
Thanks, Bubba. I have to say, I'm in a position where I talk to a lot of brokers and agents, and they tell me almost like gossipy type things. I've heard nothing but great things about Bubba's workshops and classes, so I do recommend them. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how to be considered for these REO listings. Carrie, if you want to put up my first slide. Is it up? Oh, there we go. All right. I only have 5 slides. so we'll be staring at mine for a while. So how to be considered for REO listings. Now there's lots of different ways. These aren't any, one way to do these. I mean, I've talked to people that, went to high school with someone that ended up being an asset manager, and that's how they got their first REO listing. So there's all different kinds of ways out there. But these are kind of the number one ways that I've heard. Carrie, go ahead and do the next slide. And probably the number one way is building relationships. And you're probably thinking, well, how do I build a relationship? And keep in mind that building relationships, to me, that means keeping your name out there in a positive light. So when the opportunity arises, they think of you. So you want to keep that, that healthy building relationship, because honestly, you might be building relationships for years before you finally get that first call. And I don't want to discourage anyone, but I'm just now starting noticing things picking up after COVID. The hedge funds, are big players right now too. Bubba's right on that. And I'm talking to brokers and reaching out to them and asking if they've, if they do this and do that. And these are people I've talked to for years at conferences, and we've just built a relationship. And they've been loyal members of REO Network. So that's why I think that's super important. One of the ways to build that relationship is going to conferences. People always ask me, Wendy, is it a good idea? Yes, I do, unless you're in a very rural area where you may not need to go to these things. Sometimes asset managers are just, happy that you're breathing if you're in a rural area, but well, they want you to do a good job too. But I do think getting that face-to-face interaction, that just does something different than you just sending emails, which are fine too. But it just really connects people better. I know over the years, I've got to know people and got to know, who they are and how many kids they have and what do they like to do on the side. And then you really get to know what areas that they work in. So building relationships, but at conferences. So at those conferences, and I saw Bubba touched on this a little bit, be professional at those conferences. It is easy to go to these things and get hammered and forget and what you're saying. I always say nothing good happens after midnight, so you don't you don't need to be out at midnight. Nobody wants to talk business anyways that late. But I will say that's why I always had a hard time at conferences in Las Vegas, because everybody wanted to party and not talk business. But then on the other hand, I know Las Vegas is easy to get to, but always be professional. Introduce yourself. Don't talk bad about your competitors. I don't think that's a good idea. Always highlight the things that you do. You might work next to the worst REO broker in the whole area, but you don't want to say that, because it'll come across to that asset manager as, hey, you're an idiot for hiring this person. And you want it to come across of, hey, I can make your job easier. I can do this, I can do that. You always want to highlight the things that you do well. I had a great conversation with a broker yesterday, and he's in Los Angeles, which we have 4,000 brokers in. But he was so nice, and the way he approached things, he wasn't aggressive or anything. And I just thought, man, I wish. And a lot of Los Angeles brokers are in that area. It's hard to choose because everybody's so nice down there, and but just his demeanor and you want that asset manager to leave you thinking, man, if I had an asset, I'd give that to them right now. So that's how good of a relationship you want to build. Also, if you go to these conferences and you're kind of a shy person, you do have to put yourself out there. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to volunteer for things. Hey, I'll be a mic runner. Hey, I'll check in people. I'll take tickets or whatever. That's one of the first things I did at AREA Mac, now called NADP, but I took tickets for some sort of trip they were having and got to know people that way. So offer to volunteer on something. That's actually a perfect way to get to know people. So I also think always talk to the people that are standing alone. I don't know how many decision makers I have met because I saw someone standing alone and went to go talk to them, introduced myself, and we connected of, hey, oh, you're an asset manager for so-and-so? Oh yeah, well, you know, let me show you REO Network. Or, hey, you work for so-and-so hedge fund, just because they didn't know anybody there. So talk to the person that's by themselves at these conferences. And also, you know, brokers and agents, if they're a broker and agent, those are a great way to get referrals, and that's probably one of the best ways, actually. If they're not in your competing area, most of these agents are really good about sharing information. And then when they have know something that's coming up in, you know, Walla Walla, Washington, or you know, Miami, Florida, but they live in Los Angeles, like, hey, I just talked to a broker there, and we got along great, and you know, here's your name, and you know, treat this asset manager well, and that's a great way to get connections there. So building relationships with brokers, putting yourself out there, but being professional. And also another way I think is a good way to build relationships besides conferences. I think LinkedIn is a huge asset. I realize it takes time to, you know, post something, but I think it's a great idea to post a little blurb, to engage with other people on their LinkedIn, some cool article they posted, because there's been a few people on LinkedIn I've never met in person, but we've engaged with each other on LinkedIn, and they've helped me out with articles and stats, and I can tell they're super smart, and maybe they're a little more introvert, but they know how to work that LinkedIn. Plus, I'm finding that a lot of those asset managers are on there. People you used to work with, they're still on there. A lot of those hedge funds, sometimes these hedge funds, investment companies, I'm finding they don't have a website because they're a tad small, and they're buying properties here and there, and they're selling properties, and they're growing, but they have a LinkedIn company page, and then you can see who works there and who you can connect with. I've also find when I go to conferences, a lot of these hedge funds, asset managers, other brokers are pretty open about connecting for meetings if I reach out to them through LinkedIn. Not as much on Facebook, but LinkedIn, they're usually pretty happy to do it. And so I think LinkedIn is a great way. I'll move on to my next step. Go ahead, Carrie. My next one, sorry, I'm running out of time here. I'm like Bubba. All right. Broker price opinions. Okay, so not everybody wants to do them, but this is probably the #1 way I hear people started getting called for listings. There's some sort of not rumor, but something that I guess a couple companies said, if you do the BPO, you won't get the listing. And I don't find that's true for a lot of companies, especially for hedge funds. They're looking at your BPO work as how well do you work? And a lot of times it's not a full BPO they need. They just need some good information about the property, and like a desk valuation. And you do CMAs a lot of times anyway for clients. So they're looking at how well you do those BPOs. So think of that BPO as your business card, as the work that you do. Clear Capital is our sister company, and they are strictly a BPO company. But I will say it really makes me nervous when somebody comes to me and they want to list REOs, and I notice they have a 1% rating on Clear Capital, and that makes me nervous. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. That shows me your value of work. So, you know, do the BPOs well. If you say yes, take the time. You're probably going to have to do about a year worth of BPOs, but it's a great way to get your name out there, you know, and then you'll get to a point in your business that you won't have to take every BPO, which works out for most people. Carrie, go ahead and hit step 3. Step 3, don't forget about your local lenders and credit unions. If you've never listed an REO before, go to them, ask them, how do you handle your REOs? Can I do a BPO for you to show you my work? they don't have a lot of REO, but that's a great way to get experience in your local area. I have a friend that got his first REO listing that way. He went to the local lender and asked him about some properties, and then he went and did his own BPO. He actually went to see if it was occupied, put this great package together, kind of kept doing that for about 6 months. And that lender was so impressed that he did that on his own, gave him his very first REO listing that way, because he felt like if this guy's going to do all this for free, you know, and his work is really good, then we want to give him his first REO listing. And then step 4, go ahead, Carrie, answer your phone and take it. If it's your first REO. So answering the phone, I know it sounds so simple, but this is probably the #1 complaint I hear from asset managers, is that the brokers don't answer their phone. Or I realize sometimes, you know, you got to sleep and you got to use the restroom. I get that, because I'll sit at my desk for, you know, 5 hours, get up to use the restroom, my phone rings. But call right back. You know, I'm actually I've been helping some asset managers make some calls, and I'm actually really surprised how some brokers will call me the next day, or they don't call at all. And honestly, those people I take off our network, because I figure if you're not interested, then why are you on the site? But answer your phone. My phone number is an 866 number. It's just REO Network's number. I look like a telemarketer, but just try to answer it. A lot of these asset managers work from home now, so their number is blocked. You know, just answer it. If it's your first REO, take whatever that is they gave you. And especially if it is a rural area, yes, it may be 2 hours away, but I would take it. And, you know, maybe they can see your work, and then you can kind of scale down your service areas and hopefully get something closer. But, you know, keep working at it, keep, you know, building those relationships. And that is a little bit over my 10 minutes, but thank you. If anybody has any questions, reach out to me. So thank you.
Before you jump forward, Diana, Wendy, your usual wonderful job. Cram more information into less time than Bubba, so that's good. But I wanted to thank you for not doing a sales pitch, but I think since you're here, we do need to mention that signing up for something like REO Network is a way to be on the radar for when those asset managers are looking for somebody, an agent in an area where they may not have coverage. So thank you for not doing a sales pitch and providing really good information. But for the agents on the call today, I wanted to point that out. REO Network is one of the legit
great education too.
Yep.
Like, you know,
Yep.
Not
Thank you.
great, but they provide a lot of great education.
Thanks, Rick. Laura?
Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a great presentation. You know, Wendy went into some of my slides, but that's okay. She went over. You know, what is your why? Why are you in real estate? And nowadays, I get a lot of calls from brokers from all over the United States because I network with everybody. Have you modernized the way you're selling real estate and your experiences? If you want to earn, you have to learn. So make sure all your social media, all your sites are updated, because the market has definitely changed. The old is out and the new is in. Now, do you have, like, all of us have clients, but do you have clients that are actually on your webpage so that your buyers and everyone else that goes there, even your clients, can say, you know, my asset company is visual. Most of you don't. And like, if I go to give a referral, let's say I'll go to Facebook and I'll look up for a specific state and I'll pull your profile up. It doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't even say you do real estate. Why don't you have that information there? It's really important because everyone's social. They want to look and see who you are before they assign that to you. You make sure your resume is current. They're not long and wordy, because like Bubba will mention, no one's going to read them. They just look at the bullet points. Can you immediately visit that property? Do you have the ability to take good pictures? Because if you don't do it. And have them dated. Can you rekey? That's the latest thing now. Can you rekey and change the locks? That we've all had to do it forever. And I will say this right now with a lot of the REOs, you have the time. Get your trunk loaded with duct tape, tons of it, bolt cutters, hazard tape, wasp spray because you can shoot a bear 22 feet, one comes near you, flea sprays for your ankles, because some of these homes have been vacant for a long time. Are you doing the field of real estate that really interests you? Are you just learning? You just want to make money? All of us on here have been in this business for a long, long time. What do you do to help people? Our fellow people in our industry do what we do. We have a lot of experience. Are you available to share? And recently, we asked, are you really in the game? Are you present? You're not all that if you don't answer your phone. One of the agents in Hawaii, there was 1.5 million listing, and someone wanted to put an offer in. The NAIDS number had expired. This agent called 22 agents in Hawaii before she got one. So make sure all your credentials are up to date. If you're interested in doing certain things, make sure you've done it. Most important is answer your phone, because if you don't, someone else is going to. And don't just register with the client, be proactive, like everyone said. I can tell you there are no hours in the REO world or in our real estate business nowadays. When your client needs you, it's now. And if you don't answer the phone, like all the other ones have said, they go to someone else. You have to be present. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of safety factors. If you're going out and doing a lot of rural properties, make sure that your cell phone doesn't drop and you have cell coverage. Get Starlink or something, because there's nothing worse. You're broken down on the road and you need help. They can't get to you. One thing I've learned lately, if you're going to show property to buyers and they're in the car behind you and the property's vacant, no matter even if it's occupied, print that MLS, put your buyer's name, their information, all that on there, because if something happens to you, your office and your family is going to know who you were with last. I was going to say, make sure you're real visual when looking around, because there's a lot of things happening in our industry and there's a lot of changes. And you have to be present more than ever. Never stop learning, because life will not stop teaching you safety issues. And you just need to be really vigilant and go to the conferences. You have to be the sponge to learn, because the way we did real estate, and I'm an auctioneer, the way we did it years ago, we're not doing it now anymore. Everything's new, and go with the different sites. Be present, be in it. If you don't know it, ask somebody to help you. All of us are available. And I think, how am I doing time-wise? Because they took my time. But that's what I can say. Make sure that you really want to do this, because REOs are not all that glamorous. You can walk into a house that hasn't been occupied for a long time, and you walk in, and unless you've got flea collars on both ankles and duct tape on your pants to make sure anything crawls up, you're going to come out with flea bites. And so, you want to be safe. Majority of the REOs that I deal with do not have utilities on. So don't go there at night thinking you're going to see everything. But if you see something, let's say a cracked window, don't wait to have preservation do it. Put some duct tape on it for safety. That's why carry hazard tape with you. Be proactive. Treat that property like it's yours. I think the funniest story is asset manager jumped in my car and they want to go out and see a property. Well, maybe you never looked at it. You did your BPO and everything from the desktop. So you pull out in front and the sign's hanging all over and there's trash, and you go, oh, preservation did this. No, this is your listing. Why haven't you been out there to monitor it? The other thing is the asset manager's talking to the neighbors. They're looking at your postcard. We haven't looked like that in 30 years. And you've never even been at the property. They don't know who you are. Please, if you want to do it, be proactive. Go into it. Look at every REO. See what you can do better than everybody else. And that's just my advice working in the field.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. I wanted to just address a few questions that people had. They're submitting through Q&A. Several of the participants are asking for copies of the slides. I don't know if you'd be open to giving the slides. Maybe send it out to Carrie, and then Carrie can send it out to the participant list.
Are you guys providing a copy of the webinar?
Yes, we're recording the webinar, but there have been a number of very specific requests for slides.
The only bad part of mine is through my REO certification. Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. And
That was a rough
also,
one, Rick. I'm only because I'm looking in your eyes, Rick. Did I say yes? I told you I owed you one. So
There you go.
and there was a question about if one of the participants asked if you're offering a discount code for the AREAA members.
I'm not. No, we have the free membership, which is our standard membership. We do give a savings if you sign up for a year or more, but I'm sorry, I didn't have anything like that. We just charge the same for all.
You're not discounting your free membership?
Yeah, I'm not just giving free membership.
we'll write you a check to be a member.
There you go.
And then Lamar is asking if you would leave your contact information for the participants.
Sure.
Why don't you just put your contact information in the chat section? And people can pull it right from there.
Okay.
And then
There's a question in here, Laura, that I think or maybe Bubba might be worth pursuing, which is do paying fees work to get listings? I like at ResNet was mentioned specifically. That's, I guess, technically not a fee you're paying for the listing, but you are paying something to get into that system. So thoughts on, Laura, why don't we start with you?
Well, you know what? In days past, we pay for everything.
Yes.
But I am finding nowadays with some of the clients boarding, you have to basically do the platforms and you have to pay. And it's like pay to play. Evaluate what clients you want to work with, where they're going to be. Like Bubba mentioned, Accelerus is doing some major things. I know some clients I know are moving over there. Same with Pyramid and ResNet. So evaluate it. It's really sad, Rick. A lot of agents don't have a lot of money and they don't have a lot to spend. I mean, I deal with the motion picture industry right now. They're on strike. We're predicting it till February. That's going to impact all of us, no matter in every state around, all over. So evaluate it. If you have to pick and choose, see where your clients are, where you want to work. Reach out to any of us. We're pretty honest about saying, this worked and this didn't work.
Yeah, before I let Bubba jump in on this, I think you just made a really good point, Laura. If it were me, I wouldn't sign up for a network like you're talking about, a ResNet or any of the platforms, just to sign up for the platforms. I would be talking to somebody who has REO listings that they need to list and ask them what platform you need to sign up with to get their listings. So whether that's Equator or Accelerus or ResNet or Pyramid or whatever it is, rather than put the money out there just to be on the network, me personally, I would take it the other way and whoever you want to work with, find out what platform they work on and start there. Bubba, I saw you nodding. Hopefully I said the right thing.
You did. I mean, the asset managers really don't care if you paid $1,500 or nothing. I know a lot of the platforms are charging $75-100, whatever, to be on there. That's different from last time. Last time it was like free. Everybody had a free account. You don't need to buy zip codes. You don't need to pay to have your face popped up there or anything else. It doesn't matter to the asset manager. I mean, they have a business to run, and I completely understand that. Is there a value? There's a difference between value and perceived value, right? I don't know if that is truly a perceived value of the asset managers. It is of the platforms to you. So it's whatever your interpretation is. Coming from the asset management world, the answer is no, I don't care.
So I want to give you another caveat here, because I've seen some discussions in social media channels about this recently. There are companies out there who allegedly guarantee you listings if you sign up with them. I know, and that's
sorry.
Nope, I was going to say the same thing, just more elegantly.
Yeah.
But basically that's what I was going to say. If somebody's promising you that, tell them you want a guarantee and you want a money back guarantee on whatever you're paying, because I don't know of a single entity out there that if you sign up for their, whether it's training or access to their network or whatever, can actually guarantee you listings. So that, to me, that's a huge red flag, and that's not a good way to get into the business.
Look, I consult asset management companies, I own a coaching company, and I own a certification class. I can never guarantee anybody's ever going to get an asset because you do business with either one of those platforms. Never, never, never. If they promise you that, just walk away. Yeah.
So some questions in here that are still related. Apparently we hit a hot topic. So they're asking what platforms you're on. Wendy's really not an agent, so I don't think you're on any of the platforms right now, correct?
Are you talking
Wendy?
about me? No, I didn't know if
No,
he was
but-
asking that to Wendy
It's Clear
Martin on
Capital.
the.
Oh, maybe it was, I'm sorry, maybe it was
That's
for Wendy
okay.
Martin. So Wendy and Laura, what platforms do you use? And
Well, I haven't changed who I use, but a lot of my clients have gone back to Equator. So
Okay.
I'm back on Equator.
US
I
Bank?
use ResNet. I use I can't even think, brain dead. I use Pyramid. I use a lot of them. But the fact of it is, become like yourself, rather a platform, take that money, become a certified woman-owned business, minority-owned business,
Please.
veteran-owned business. We need different certifications now, and spend that money for different things. Put yourself out there, do webinars, learn how to do reverse mortgages. There's a lot of foreclosures there. Be a resource, take that money. I see so many agents, and I spoke yesterday, they don't have it. What do they do to feed their family? So networking, like we all said, and Diana, thank you for putting this together. It's the most important, and help everybody. You have a responsibility, I feel, to do that in our industry.
Well, on that reverse mortgage piece, the largest asset management company or servicer for reverse mortgages is boarding with Accelerus.
Mhm.
So make sure you are on Accelerus.
Salaries, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
another question here was, is there a benefit to being with a larger real estate brand like a Remax or a Keller Williams?
No,
Yep, that's what I was going to say,
I
but go
think
ahead.
sometimes it could hurt you because like I used to
Amen.
be with the big ones, but if you want to be like, I'm literally certified anyway, certified woman-owned business. Government has mandated they have to give so much to us in the industry. And whether you're veteran, you can be a male certified VA business, and then you just need those certificate. And I will mention something else. Don't run away from the VA loans, guys. We live here free because someone made that sacrifice. Become an expert because they have tremendously VA loans. And I do a lot of them. I serve on the board of directors for the Navy SEAL Warrior Dog Foundation. But make sure you know how to help that service person use their certificate to buy a home. No, I mean, it's really win-win for you. Go and speak to everybody that you know, firemen, whatever. Let them know that you're in real estate, not at home in pajamas. Rick.
By the way, I have to comment, this is probably the most engaged chat I've seen for any of our webinars this year.
Cool.
So you guys have clearly got everybody thinking.
make
Is
sure you
there,
bring Laura back.
Yeah, right.
is there, I think this is kind of a really difficult question to answer, but I think a lot of people are going through this. It's from Noah Stoney. So what if you're on a woman, minority, or veteran?
What
Is
if
there
what?
anything? What if you're not a woman, a minority, or a veteran?
Then you got Hub Zone, you got section, you got 8A.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that you can do. You don't have. I was on the board of WINS. I was on the National Orange County Board of AREA and NARAB. I'm not Asian. I'm not woman, right? I'm not Hispanic. There's several ways that you can work with different organizations and different things. You don't always have to be a woman, African American, Asian, or anything else. There are plenty of things out there for you. Okay. So look for it. There's hub zones in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach area. Well, at least there used to be a couple of years ago. Everybody is up for any kind of government program that's out there. I don't, if you Google it, then you can find it. I mean, I teach in my class. I think AREA, that'd probably be a good topic for one of your monthlies, is to be able to talk about, 8A, Section 8, Hub Zone, all that kind of fun. There's plenty of stuff out there.
And Wendy and I are both very involved, and I know Laura is a big fan of the National Association of Default Professionals. Laura and Wendy both talked about the importance of networking and being present, meeting people.
Yeah.
So, you know, look for trade organizations that focus on this section of the market to make yourself visible and available there.
Rick, if I can mention,
Yeah.
I'm teaching 2 sessions or having 2 sessions at 5-Star Conference,
Yes.
and I'm really thrilled. I'm going to have We Are the World, and I'm going to have all of our ethnic groups represent AREA, NARUP, NAREB, and the New Korean group, because we are the
Is that Peter Park?
real estate. We are
think so.
that. And why are we not networking and helping each other? I think that's so important. The other thing is I'm doing, again, by popular demand, getting on government REOs and working with the government. And it's really thrilling because most of the women that have the contract for HUDs and USDA REO, they're women. And we want to make sure that we can reach out to everybody and there's a place for everybody, and we have responsibility to help everybody. This is the time, guys. We are the world of real estate.
Now, look,
Well,
there's a lot of places that you can self-certify as woman-owned, but I'm going to strongly
Yeah,
suggest
there is.
that you go to like WeBank,
Mhm.
something like that. If you're looking at getting your codes and getting other, look, you're a realtor, but that does not mean that you only sell real estate. You can be a project manager. You can do a lot of things when you're woman-owned certifications, your veteran-owned certifications, so on and so forth. It's not just REO, guys, right? That's a leading factor to it, but you can get a buttload more business by getting your certifications.
So there was a question from Lamar asking, is the certified listing agent necessary to attract asset managers?
There's nothing that's guaranteed for anything. I consult an asset management company that's coming to the public in the next 60 days. Yes, they do like my network. I'm a consultant for them, and I do the certification classes on it. You don't have to have it. Everybody has an opportunity being able to get in there. Again, they're using Acceleris.
Mhm.
There's another question. What is your estimation of foreclosures popping up at the end of the year, next year? What is the market looking like?
So Georgia has 1,135 foreclosure actions in August. So at what stage they are, don't know. Title company report that I saw came over from Georgia, 1,135 actions. So it's a big state. That's not a big number. This isn't 2008, nor will it ever be 2008, people. It's never going to be there. It's enough to be able to have a division of your business. It's not enough to make a friggin' retirement fund for your kids.
So a couple things. I just came back from speaking on exactly that topic at a conference in Denver, or actually in Beaver Creek, Colorado, along with economists from Fannie Mae and the MBA and our friend Darren Bloomquist from auction.com. Foreclosure activity nationally right now is running at 62.5% of where we were at the same time in 2019. But from an REO perspective, you really need to keep these numbers in context. First of all, 2019 was a slow year in terms of foreclosures. So we're only at 62% of where we were in a relatively slow year. Foreclosure starts are back to about 80% of where they were. So those numbers Bubba was talking about are largely foreclosure starts, that first notice. But what's happening after that is a huge drop off. So only about we're only seeing about 50% of the auction volume that we saw back in 2019. We're only seeing about 30% of the REO activity that we saw back in 2019. And one of the reasons for that is that 64% of distressed property sales today are done during the pre-foreclosure period, after that borrower gets their first notice. So the 92% of people in foreclosure that have equity in their homes are moving to sell those properties and protect their equity instead of losing everything to a foreclosure sale. So it's going to take a while. In fact, I'm not sure we ever get back to the same ratio of foreclosure starts to REO. And that's why one of the things we've been doing at AREAA this year is education on the earlier stages of foreclosure. Working with distressed borrowers in the early stage of foreclosure, or working with investors at the auctions. There will be more REO coming, but I think we're a year out. before we start to see REOs happen meaningfully, because those foreclosure starts on average are taking 1,212 days nationally to get all the way through the foreclosure process. We're going to be doing a webinar
Before
in
years.
we're going to be doing a webinar in November, the month after REA's national conference. That's kind of a recap of foreclosure activity for 2023 and an outlook for 2024. So keep your eye open for emails on that. Yeah, it's just it's not going to be big, but the people that know how to work the system will still be able to run their businesses.
You know,
Well,
I'd like to
can I say
mention
something else on that real quick?
You know, Bubba, can I mention something?
Sure, go ahead.
There's a lot of new agents listening to this that really want to learn REO. And I'm not paid by Bubba, even though he took 10 minutes from me, but his certification course, you're going to come away for 4 minutes. You're going to come away with some knowledge and some sites. It's really worth it, guys. I can't stress it enough. You will walk away from his class with some avenues and a different thought process on how you can get business and take that forward. He covers BPOs and everything. You can pay me later, but I really would recommend it and join like Wendy's group. They're a great group. Network.
There's a lot of great companies out there, and to touch, even though it's called REO certification, I teach you how to work with hedge funds. I teach you how to work short sales. I teach you how to build an REO pillar. I teach you how to build a probate pillar, how to be able to do traditional business and open houses and that kind of fun stuff. Even though it's called REO, it has a lot more things to it. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Wendy, you were trying to get in there.
I just wanted to mention that one thing I am seeing an increase of is I am seeing an increase of REO and I'm going by what brokers are telling me. Hey, so-and-so just called me for an REO off REO network or whatever. But I'm seeing an increase of investors just selling off properties. They're not necessarily REO, they're just ready to sell. So I'm seeing that. And then commercial, we kind of chatted about this earlier, commercial. So if anyone does commercial, and I remember back when I, 2008, 2009, a lot of REA members did do commercial. So definitely mention that on like your REO network profile or other things that you're signed up on if you do commercial BPOs and commercial listings. So those are just two things I'm noticing.
So we got a question from my pal Harry Solomon about numbers rather than percentages. So to put it in perspective for foreclosure activity, in the first 6 months of 2023, there were 185,000, almost 186,000 foreclosure actions. If you go back to 2019, same period of time, there were almost 297,000. So 100,000 less foreclosure actions overall. And if you're looking at something like foreclosure starts, for the first 6 months of the year, there were about 135,000 across the country. Again, up from 2021, and I'm sorry, up from 2022 numbers and 2020 numbers, but not really all that significant relative to where we were in years past. And there were only 24,000 foreclosure starts in the month of June, which, you know, it sounds like a big number, but, you know, you look at it nationally, that works out to not a very big number at all.
And a lot of people have to understand for 3 years, we could not foreclose. We could not evict, we couldn't do anything. So these banks, instead of them proceeding with foreclosures, they sold those in pools and tapes and one-offs out to private investors and hedge funds that didn't have to go through a lot of the same processes that the banks under the CFPB had to do. So
I'm going to jump in.
Questions that have come up, Laura. Someone is asking about your panel talk at 5 Star. Is it part of Force or is it open to everyone?
We're trying to work that out. I'd like it to be open to everybody because I think the AREA one the one I'm doing, We Are the World, will be in the main entrance because it's so important. All these groups have never been together on one stage and platform. And even though I'm to be the moderator, I've already asked someone from HUD, very key, to take my place because they don't want to hear me, or Bubba or anybody. They want to hear from people that they can do business with. So I'm going to probably step down as a moderator, but I'm thrilled. I'll let all of you know. And I was going to say, we've got a lot of questions in there. You have all of our contact information. Reach out to us, provide it to them, Diana. And if I know myself, if I can help you in any way, just call. If I don't know the answer, I'll make them up.
Yep.
Thank
There's
you.
a question.
I'm calling Wendy.
Bubba's Bubba's discount code is AREA, all lowercase letters 100. So that was another question that popped up here.
We have just a minute. So Rick, I just want to turn it over to you. I apologize to people asking questions, but we'll send out the contact information for everyone. Rick, if you want to close with some of the information about the national conference.
Yeah, encourage everybody who can make it to join us in Chicago for the 20th anniversary, AREA's 20th anniversary annual conference. It'll be starting October 12th in Chicago. Register soon. It's not unlimited capacity. We hope you'll all be there, and you can find all the information you need at area.org in the events section. But sign up soon, bring along your friends, lots of great content, and very knowledgeable speakers. So I hope you'll all try and join us there. And I appreciate your all joining us today. Diana, thank you so much for coordinating and pulling everything together. Wendy, Laura, Bubba, great information, great conversation. And I'm sure everybody who attended found a lot of value here. So thanks everybody for doing this. We're right at the top of the hour. So again, thanks everybody for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.